Once you settle into the rhythm of NICU life, you start to notice something. There are certain rooms in the unit slightly apart from the main NICU rooms. When you get a chance to peek through the door, you can see they're a little different. There's an incubator, but there's also an adult patient bed next to it. And soon you learn the word rooming in, the last stage of the NICU stay. And from that moment, moving into that room becomes your wish. And every day, you wait to hear the medical team say you're ready for it. Hi, this is Never Too Early. I shared my personal rooming in story back in chapter 1, the full experience of those days. Today, I want to give you the informational side, what rooming in actually is, and what to expect. Rooming in is the last stage of the NICU stay. It's a transition period between the fully supported NICU environment and going home. You stay in a room with your baby for a few days and nights, caring for them entirely on your own for the first time, while you still have the support of nurses nearby. The room itself is usually private, separate from the main NICU bay. The room has an incubator or a cot for the baby and a bed for the parent, usually the mother. The medical team is still close. Help is just down the hall, but the responsibility of day to day care shifts almost entirely on you. Rooming in gives you a good practice run before you go home. It's like a supported rehearsal. Your baby needs to meet all the going home criteria we discussed in an earlier episode, and you will also have to complete a CPR and infant safety class before rooming in begins. Siblings are generally welcome to visit during rooming in, which for many families is the first time the older children get to spend time with the baby properly. Partners usually come and go because they have work and home to take care of. In most cases, they spend their nights at home, especially if there are other children or logistics to manage. In our case, our son was our first, and my husband was working during the NICU phase, so he would come after work each evening and leave at night. It was mostly just me and my son throughout the day and nights, except for those evenings when my husband joins. How long the rooming in period lasts really depends on the baby and on you. Many hospitals let parents room in with their baby for a couple of nights or so before discharge. For late term preemies or for experienced parents who already know what they're doing, that is sometimes enough. But for extreme preemies and especially for first time parents, it tends to be longer. Our rooming in was 9 nights and 10 days. We were figuring out almost everything from scratch. An extreme preemie born at 23 weeks, a first time mother who had barely been around small children for a long time, and a discharge plan that included going home on oxygen tank. There was a lot to learn and to get used to, and we needed time. Don't compare how many days you're rooming in to anyone else's stay. The timeline is set by what you and your baby need. Longer doesn't mean something is wrong, it means you're gaining the practice and confidence that the next stage requires. Okay, let me be honest with you about this because it is wonderful and it is also really, really exhausting. You're now the primary caregiver around the clock. The nurses check in, they're available when you need them, and they're still monitoring the baby, but the routine care, feeding, nappy changes, temperature checks, documenting everything, that's all yours now, all day and all night, on top of all the things you've already been managing during the NICU stay. For feeding, if you're pumping, the full routine continues. Pumping 8 to 10 times a day, washing kits, labeling, returning milk to the station, bottle feeding with pasteurized milk, continuing breastfeeding training, and so on. It is a lot. You already know this, but rooming in, you're doing all of it without help and without going home to sleep in your own bed. This means sleep happens in 1 or 2 hour windows between feeds and checks. It is hard, possibly the hardest physical stretch of the NICU stay for many mothers. because the baby is more present and more demanding than ever before. You're also responsible for documenting everything: feeds, diaper wet or dry, amount of feed, and temperature, and issues noted with questions to ask for each feed and for each change. All of this is already much more than a full time job, and you're handling hospital admin and medical discussions on top of that. I also want to mention something I had no clue about. This is often when you first discover that your baby has colic or nightmare crying patterns that you simply didn't know about because you weren't there overnight before. I remember lying in the rooming in room in the dark, completely exhausted and so disoriented from lack of sleep, and was so confused about why he was crying all night so persistently. The nurses helped here and there, but those nights really were super confusing and so exhausting. During this stage, the medical team and parents go through the discharge plan in details: how to use any equipment your baby is going home with, what to watch for, when to call, who to call, etc. For me, rooming in was much harder than the newborn phase at home. I was caring for the baby entirely on my own for the first time, mostly alone in a hospital room. After discharge, at least I was in our own home in a comfortable bed with my husband there. That made an enormous difference. Rooming in has none of those things, and yet it is still the right preparation because it builds the confidence you need before you walk out of the hospital door. If you love a NICU mom who is in rooming in right now, here is what she needs. First, food. She is not sleeping and she is on hospital cafeteria food. Bring her real meals every day if you can. Warm food, good food, food she actually wants to eat, etc. It will matter a lot more than you know. Second, presence during the day. If you can visit and take over a feeding or a nappy change so she can sleep for half an hour to an hour, please do it. It really helps her keep going. Third, practical preparation at home. While she is in the rooming in room, the clock is ticking toward discharge. This is when family and friends can step up to prepare the home while she is caring for the baby at the hospital: setting up the baby's space, stocking food, organizing the things that will matter in the first weeks at home. When she walks out of that hospital, she should not have to worry too much about any of that. Rooming in is the final stage. And like every stage in the NICU, it is harder than it looks from the outside and more meaningful than you can fully appreciate until you're through it. I remember the excitement when the team told us we were ready to move into the rooming in room. I remember the exhaustion of those 9 nights and 10 days. And I remember the day we left, walking out of that room, out of that unit, into the world, carrying our baby in the car seat. Your entire NICU stay prepares you for rooming in, and rooming in prepares you for coming home. The medical team carefully decides and sends you to each next stage only when you're ready. You're more capable than you know. Trust yourself and trust your baby. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one. This is Never Too Early.